All right, in this video, I'm going to go over the quadratic formula. Now, this is the method of solving quadratic equations that will always work. And first, before I get into what it is, I'm not just going to tell you what it is. I want you to be able to figure it out yourself so that you actually don't have to memorize it. Although figuring out yourself does take a while, so maybe you should memorize it. So this is the standard form of a quadratic equation, right? You know that very well. And I assume that you have seen my video on completing the square. Now, at some point, some very smart mathematician came along and said, what if I just take this equation, the standard form, and complete the square? Because completing the square always works. So what is the formula for that? Well, we derive the formula by completing the square of the standard equation. C is not 6. All right. So, first of all, we subtract C. Right? Now, we have a problem here. A is usually 1. So we're just going to divide everything by A. And yes, you have to divide that middle term by A as well. Sorry if that looks like a 9. So A divided by A is 1. So we accomplished what we wanted to do. But usually our B term is just B, but now it's B over A. So that's important. Sorry if that looks like a 9. It's an A. Okay. So what do? We take 1/2 B and square it, right? That's our next step in completing the square. And we add it to both sides of the equation. Well, in this case, our B is actually what? B over A. We're multiplying it by 1/2, and we're squaring that thing. So why don't we just do that? It's actually B squared over 4A squared, right? Yeah, because B times B over 2A times B over 2A is going to be B squared over 4A squared. All right, what's the next step? We take that 1/2 B that we had and we factor this out. B over 2A. X plus B over 2A times X plus B over 2A is indeed X squared plus B over AX plus B squared over 4A squared. And we can simplify that, right? We need a common denominator, so we need to multiply this by 4A over 4A first. So we have C4A or 4AC over 4A squared. So it's like B squared minus 4AC over 4A squared. All right. So far, so good. Now, square root property, square root both sides, right? And don't forget, plus or minus. So we're left with X plus B over 2A on this side. And we're left with plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over we can actually take the square root of the denominator, right? So 2a. Square root of 4 is 2. Square root of a squared is just a. Almost there. Subtract b over 2a from both sides. And what are we left with? Negative b plus or minus negative b over 2a, really. Plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And since they're both over 2a and they have a common denominator, we can just say the whole thing is a fraction all over 2a. And there's your quadratic formula. And you can use that to solve any quadratic equation. It will always work. You could get imaginary answers, you could get nice whole numbers, or you could get irrational numbers. It all depends on that little section, but that's a video for another time. But I highly recommend memorizing this, so you don't have to do all this mess every time. But if you want to know how we got that, well, we just did it. Just took the standard form and completed the square. The difficult part is dividing everything by a. It's tough to remember. You need a 1 out there for completing the square. And also thinking of the b part as b over a instead of just b can throw some people off, but that is what the quadratic formula is. All right, now that we know what the quadratic formula is, let's actually put it to use. So let's look at this one first. X squared plus 5x plus 1. Negative b is what? 5? Plus or minus the square root of b squared, okay, 5 squared, minus 4 times a. A is 1, right? Understood 1 there. C. All over 2 times a. A is 1 again. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b minus 4ac all over 2a. I've said that so many times, but that's how you memorize it. You got to say it. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Say it over and over and over until you got it. Now, that is equal to x. So we got to simplify it. Make sure that it is, a rational number or irrational or even imaginary. Got to make sure. So x equals negative 5 plus or minus, what's 5 squared? 25. And 4 times 1 times 1 is just 4 all over 2. Okay. 25 minus 4. Negative 5 plus or minus the square root 21 all over 2, right? That's it. Factors of 21, 7, and 3. Neither of those are perfect squares, so we just leave it like that. And there's our answer. Negative 5 plus the square root of 21 all over 2. And negative 5 minus square root of 21 all over 2. There's our answers. All right, let's do the other one. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. X equals all that. -1 plus or minus square root. 1 squared is 1, minus 4 times 2 is 8, so 1 minus 8, -7 all over 2. Negative under the radical. That means we have an imaginary number. So we take that square root of -1 out of there, and that becomes I, right? And that's it. It may be a complex number, but it's still an answer. One more for practice, because we need an example where a does not equal 1. So let's do it again. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Got it. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a, which is a 9, times c, which is -2. Negative is part of the number, all over 2a. No, that's not an a, that's a 9. Okay, x equals. I always forget that x equals part of it. Gotta remember that. So, let's actually do that b squared there. That's 9 minus 4 times 9 is 36 times -2. All over 2 times 9, which is 18. Okay. -36 times -2. Let's just assume you don't have a calculator in your brain. 6 times 2 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 72. Okay, so now 9 minus 72. Ugh. Well, let's do 72 minus 9. That's a little easier. All right. 12 minus 9. 3. Ugh. Off my game today. So 63. So x equals -3 plus or minus square root of -63 all over 18. Oh, wait a minute. I did that wrong. Excuse me. And I'm not going to cut this out of the video because sometimes you do things wrong. It's -36 times -2, right? So it's +72. So it's actually 9 plus 72, which means your answer is 81. Positive 81. We have an 81 in there. Is that a perfect square? It is. If you knew that, then good job. You've been studying your perfect squares. -3 plus or minus square root of 81 is 9 all over 18. Well, let's actually figure out what these answers are. X equals -3 plus 9 over 18 and -3 minus 9 over 18. Okay, what do we got? -3 plus 9 is 6 over 18. -3 minus 9 is -12 over 18. You can simplify those, right? Divided by 6 is 1, divided by 6 is 3. Divided by 6 is 2, divided by 6 is 3. So negative 2/3, put the lowest one first, and 1/3. Those are my answers, our answers. Thank you for watching.